Good day, beautiful soul family, and welcome back to Infinite Miracles Beneath the Surface. And I don't think I'm going to upload this, but if I do, then I'm just going to see what happens. I was just studying, and my intuition was picking up on something that I was really figuring out, and it's like subconsciously I would still be figuring out certain things and getting to the core of it, getting to the root of it. And so even while either I'm walking or I'm driving or I'm studying or I'm watching TV with my sons, whatever it may be. And so, but still there's stuff going on that I'm still just researching. And this is not I ask questions of why, and I don't just base things off of my lifetime and determine, okay, this is the why. As I mentioned, I go to the root of the problem. And so there are people who are like, I know it. and you want to know why. But you want to know why based on the roots of it, not the surface of it. See, the surface layer is this lifetime, all right? The root of it is many a lifetimes, is many ancestors, and why they went through it. And as you're learning as you're going into your life, self-love, self-care, self-nurture, you are going to like the intermediate stage where it's not just so much about why these things take place in this lifetime, but it's about coming to a point. This is the intermediate part, or even the advanced part, but I feel it like it's an intermediate part where you're like, okay, Divine Spirit, I trust you. Archangels, guardian angels, I'm not a mist. And but you're like, but why? And so it's an endless squabble. There's circles, there's a small circle, and there's the small karmics, and then there's bigger circles and bigger circles. And then it's like, but why? And it's all about, as I mentioned, Cain did not apologize. Now you may think I indirectly do these readings or these downloads, uploads to figure out why certain people do things in my life and da-da-da-da. I'm not a victim. No. If anything, I get stronger. I get to a point where I'm like, as you connect the pieces and you get a picture, and then you connect the pieces over here and you get another picture, and you're connecting the pieces over here, and it's about understanding how the picture is connecting. How are these three different pieces connecting? What has my ancestors done? What can I do to put us into a different season? Right? And that's very intermediate. It's very intermediate because it's like it's all one. So subconsciously it's still figuring it out. Consciously I'm living this lifetime and I'm doing what I need to do, But see, future generations, right? Future generations. I am a future generation of my ancestors. And there are other people who are future generations of their ancestors. And the thing about it, and actually the Divine Spirit was showing me as I was driving, that there are ancestors who are about that vendetta. They're about that vengeance. That's what they put in their codon. And there are my ancestors who aren't about that. You see, I'm not doing anything, I'm not, the newness that I bring is to go into a new season and to constantly moving forward and healing. I'm not doing a newness to where I am resorting to how other people utilize their energy to bring forth muck. As I go within with self-love, self-care, self-nurture, you say, wait a minute, there's a better way. I choose to forgive. I trust divine spirit. I trust archangels and guardian angels. I am thankful. You know? And so it's like, well, why? Why is there such and it's so interesting because my brain was brainstorming. I really was brainstorming. I was drafting and I'm brainstorming at the same time. It's really interesting. I was like, okay, wait a second. Divine Spirit, what do you need me to know? Because all these different things are coming from different directions, and I need to understand not all these different things, but I need to understand, Divine Spirit, what do you want me to know? That's all I want to know, is what you want me to know. And so as I sit here and I'm relaxed and I am at peace, Divine Spirit tells me that bringing me back to the Garden of Eden, Cain and Abel, the people who bring foolishness in, and they do it unapologetically, is because their ancestors go way back to, it goes way back to just to keep it real, to ancestors that were not apologetic. They were not apologetic, but they wanted to be covered. You see that same mind frame. Anybody, any oracle readers or any tarot card readers know what I'm talking about. They get to a situation where they're doing so much harm to people who are just going according to living their life, right? And they don't want these people to be financially happy. They don't want them to, they just don't want them to be present. Right? And the thing about it is, beautiful soul families, because when you bring it back, man, get into the Bible. I'm telling you, it's really awesome. You may be looking at me like I'm crazy, but it truly is, because it helps you to understand. You know, those who are truth seekers. This reading may be, this is not really a reading, but this download may not be for the average person that just doesn't really care about that stuff. This is for the person who is a truth seeker with their eyes open when their eyes closed. When they're awake, they're a truth seeker. When they're sleeping, they're a truth seeker. When they're taking a shower, when they're driving. You're a truth seeker. You are open. Divine Spirit, show me. Show me so that I can know. Come into that knowingness. It's not even about the other person really so much, but it's about how can I live my life better? How can I come to this knowing? Because it's always about you being better than your yesterday, so that you can move forward to better seasons. I don't want to say better seasons, but new seasons. Always bringing forth the newness. You know, like children are about to start school, so it's the, I know that when I was in school, I loved the smell of crayons and pencils and erasers and new books, you know. And, well, I love school. And it's just the excitement of getting the book bag together, and just, you know, things have changed. And this just have changed. But you're always learning. And it's really about solving a puzzle as to why, what is going on, what, you know, ask ancestors. Ancestors, I want to know what is going on. And it's a vendetta, it's vengeance. See, it's not so much that Cain would have vengeance. Cain's bloodline had vengeance with Adam, or not Adam, but Abel and Seth's bloodline, right? But it's about, they also warred with themselves. There was no love in the mix. So whatever, haters are going to hate, towards you and towards themselves. And they did not have long kingships, queenships. They didn't, because they killed themselves off. But Abel and Seth's bloodline, really Seth took over for Abel's bloodline to carry it on. Okay? And they lived for very long periods of time. Do you want to know why? Oh, I'm happy you asked, actually. It is because they loved one another. When you have the midst of love, there's no vengeance. There's no stress. There's no drama. You know, there's love. There's healing. There's peace. There's honor and reverence. And so the Divine Spirit was just showing me, like, it's so interesting, because it's like I am seeing, like, from Cain and Seth, Cain and Abel, right? But then Seth, and then on and on. Divine Spirit is showing me how it's just carried on from lifetime to lifetime. Ancestor to ancestor to ancestor, generations after generations after generations, and it's the same thing. And I got a little sad. I got a little sad because Abel was killed. And I actually have gone through this. I remember going through this two different times in all of my different lifetimes, or essentials, ancestries, and it's in my DNA. And so I remember, and it ended up in death. And so this lifetime is about, okay, how can I bring forth change in my lifetime to where it doesn't end in death? There was this good movie that I saw, and it is, and I'm just recalling it. I'm able to recall it right now, but it's with Nicolas Cage, and it's called Next. Okay, and such a good movie. And the thing about it is that he was able to remember, like, at least 2 minutes ahead. And then when he met his soulmate, that was his soulmate. Go ahead and check it out. It's a good movie. He met his soulmate because he kept on seeing her face over and over again. And she was the one thing that he could not really figure out. And then he met her, actually. And then things really did change. They changed for the better, where he was able to know, like, in a month advance, a month or so in advance. And it's just a really good show. But the thing about it is, when I want to bring it out, is that towards the end, he is able to figure out different ways. Like, you will see, if you see it, it's a good movie, but he is able to figure out different scenarios of how it's going to happen, and to figure out which is the best scenario to go with. And so in this lifetime, I feel like to some degree, I feel like, you know, I am figuring out the best scenario in which this lifetime can be better than other lifetimes in which it ended off horribly. Horribly so. Where no one has to die. And so the thing about it is, as I remember from the definitely 2 different lifetimes where this has happened before, is where I was putting forth determination to be with the man that I had loved. In both of those lifetimes. But in this lifetime, self-love, self-care, self-nurture tells me, no, you don't have to do that. Go within. Go within and bring forth those closures to those cycles. Learn about your gifts. Learn about who you are. Honor and have reverence for self, but definitely for divine spirit. And if anything, seek after the divine spirit. Build that relationship. And in doing so, that brings forth healing. So, in my lifetime, I'm seeking after divine spirit. I'm not seeking after a man. No. If it happens, it happens. I'm not really worried about it. But my focus is on divine spirit. My focus is on my purpose. My focus is on motivating you to be your better self, your best self. My focus is on motivating you to go within, because all that beauty that you have, it really is within. And so as I look through all the ancestries and the future generations, I'm seeing it's just this constant squabbling. But everyone has a choice. We could choose to squabble back. We could choose to feel defeated. Or we could change our focus to divine spirit, to our purpose, to our value and beauty that is within. And for me in this lifetime, that is a necessary change that heals that once and for all. It's about forgiving and letting go. Putting my focus on divine spirit. And being at peace and being strengthened even the more. You see, they're going to always continue to do that because they will even war with themselves. Okay? But I'm using my passion. I believe I did this channeling where it's about passion. Passion is programmed in this world, whether it's from anger or from lust. But it's about you. I choose passion from love. And that's what I choose to instill in my life. A love and passionate energy. But I'm not focusing on anger, and I'm not focusing on lust, but I'm focusing on moving on. Moving on with my purpose. Moving on with purpose, moving on with love, moving on with being connected to divine spirit. And that is the change that I did not see in these 2 lifetimes that I recall. I did not see it then. And as I think about Seth, it's so interesting because in both the Cain bloodline and the Seth bloodline, they both had Enoch. Now nowadays they say Enosh, but it's Enoch. In Seth bloodline there's an Enoch. That is the one who walked with divine spirit. And then with Cain there was Enoch, and that came the Enochian language, the city that he called Enoch. So the city was called Enoch, and there was the Enochian language, which is known as a language that is used in, I don't even want to go there, okay? But there are 2 Enochs. And I'm trying to figure even out, why would I even mention that? But the thing about it comes to a point where both are in a fork in the road. 2 lines, 2 Enochs, but you decide, what do you do? We don't really hear about Enoch, and I'm going to do the research later on from Cain's bloodline. But I know from Seth's bloodline, Enoch was very wise. He was the son from Methuselah. and he walked with divine spirit. And there's just much peace in walking with divine spirit. It's about what you willingly choose to do in your life. Now, everyone's not going to go totally full 100 and walking with divine spirit. But as you're in the midst of your walk, just saying thank you. How can I fulfill my purpose? How can I bring forth newness for my ancestry to carry on this legacy of love? How can I move on from the energy of vendettiveness, because it's not something that compliments me. You see, it goes far deeper. When you go and understand how far deep it goes. Also, the Divine Spirit was showing me that, you may look at someone and you may say, why? Why do they continuously do what they do? I'm not even focused on it, but they still are at it. There are people say, if you don't focus on it, then it won't be. But the thing about it is when you don't focus on it and it still happens. And it has nothing to do with you, but because of what's going on within themselves. Then you can say, okay, I truly understand what's going on. This person is not warring with me so much. I mean, there is this saturation of hatred. But they may not even know what's going on, or they may know what's going on. Who knows, right? The Vice Spirit was also showing me that there are people who sell their souls, and on the outside it looks like this person, and you may say, how come this person is this way and they're getting everything they want but they're not happy? And it's because they sold their souls, and it was a transference. They're a host, and that host has a vendetta against all divine beings. So we have either, if they didn't sell their soul and they're of the Cain bloodline and they're against you and they hate you and they don't even know why they hate you. They just know that your energy, just you living, it really makes them feel angered. Really. And they just want to put an end to it themselves. How they do it, however, is very dark. And to them, that is their lifestyle. Divine beings, our lifestyle is to pray and forgive and to fulfill our purpose. But there is that constant jealousy and constant envy. There's no real thought about how much you've suffered. They just don't want you to be happy. That's just the bottom line. They cannot be happy unless you're happy. There are people who have sold their souls, and so they have sold their purpose. And it's truly sad, because in order to truly live, they can only live by bringing harm to others. They have this constant agonizing hatred within themselves, and they just finding ways to lash it out. It's healing that needs to take place within them and in their ancestors. And it's so interesting because they have money and they have friends and family, notoriety, but there is something so far deep, and they blame you for it. And it really goes further back than you could ever imagine. So with having this information, now what? What do we do when we have this information? That's that leveling up. Say Divine Spirit, Archangels, Guardian Angels. I see what's going on. Thank you for showing me. Please direct me on what I must do to bring forth change for my ancestors, for a better tomorrow. You see, it's about a better tomorrow. It's not ever about overcoming someone's role. So I know it seems like that's the temptation, to fight back the same way they fight against you, but that's exactly what they want. No, we are to maintain balance, because maintaining balance is really healing at its best. So I don't know anybody who may be interested in this information. I'm sharing information. Why? Because we all need it. One information, you already know it, or you may not care about it, you know. And someone may be like, well, you know what, that was the piece of the puzzle. It's like we all are putting pieces of the puzzle together in our own life, and it's like, okay, I just want to understand, come to a better understanding, a better knowing. Okay? And so, beautiful soul family, I hope you have a wonderful night. Take care. Namaste.